pedal to the metal, gear up to 10. And I don't plan on stopping till my face is flush beat red. Cause even if my legs give out, and even if I've lost the route, I'm telling you without a doubt I won't slow down. No, I won't slow down. No, 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 no doubt. Long distance traveler, what are you stopping for? There isn't much to see between point B and the door. The scenic routes and sentimentals who've got too much time. And everybody knows the quickest way is in a line. Don't slow. No, don't slow down. Don't meet a gaze. Keep your eyes on the ground. Leave nothing behind when you're skipping town.
This is WMSC Upper Montclair 90.3, and thank you all for tuning in today on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon, and welcome to The Speakeasy. I'm Alexander Mejia, your host, and today we have a returning guest for the first time on The Speakeasy.
Hey, everybody. I'm the returning guest.
And we're going to talk about something that just happened recently. Now, for those who don't know, Jack is a good friend of mine.
Hi, my name is Jack Nichols. Good friend of Alex Mejia, roommate of Alex Mejia, associate of Alex Mejia.
Exactly. And Jack has been very helpful with my radio show. He's been on this show for 2 times now, talking about the music and creative process with creating music. And now he gets to put his money where his mouth is because he just... What did you do, Jack?
I just released a debut album onto YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music and all those good places called Songs for My Friends. It is 9 tracks long, and I like to think that it's pretty good.
Yeah, and if you're not a friend of Jack Nichols, you can't listen to it.
No, it's okay. Everybody is my friend. For the sake of getting this album as far as possible, everybody can be my friend from now on, so that's okay. I have 1,000 friends and 0 enemies.
That's a good life to live, I think.
Yes,
it's a good life to live, I think.
So you brought me all the way over yonder to ask me some questions, so I've been told.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, questions for questions my little roommate.
My friend.
Yeah,
questions for my roommate. The thrilling follow up.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're going to get a little bit more deeper within these questions because the audience, I would say, knows you a little bit more better. And now we're going to get into some more...
They got a taste of Jack, now they can never go back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a new saying. Yeah. You guys can use it from now on. All right. So, to start up, let's go with the first question. And, this one's from me.
Oh.
Do you think that you could have made an album if you have gone to a different university?
Yes. But I don't think it would have been nearly as good, without a doubt. I had so much help on this record from my 2 good friends, my 2 Italian friends, Luca Generelli and Nick Spinelli. Luca laid down some bass. He played bass on Junior Mongoose and Disco Polo, and on a couple of the demos that I have, sat in my garage band. And Nick, he produced the whole thing, and he really took a lot of time out of his schedule to work on it and I just appreciate it so much. And had I not, run into those guys going to Montclair, I don't think it would have been nearly as good as it was. And if I went to a different school, it would have been a different album. I really did, draw from a lot of the jams and little writing sessions and showing all the people around me. You shout out to my little college buddies. I know there have been hundreds of times on the quad where I was like, wait, I just wrote this. Listen to this. Tell me what you think about this.
Let's all play one note.
That was true. And if I didn't have that feedback, I think it would have been an entirely different record. And I was really inspired by Nick's debut album. Nick and Chris, their band, put out an album. And just seeing what they were able to do in a dorm studio really kicked me into gear. I was like, oh my god, I could do that.
Yeah.
I can do something cool. So the people around me played just the hugest part ever, and I can't say it enough. Thank you very much.
That's very good. Because I've listened to the whole album, and I have to say that it does feel like a journey. I would say, where it's like, I don't know if you were going for a specific emotion, but it kind of did feel like going through how a busy day would be, and then at nighttime it gets more calmer, and then bye-bye, you go to sleep.
You go to sleep.
Yeah.
I didn't have a specific vision or journey in mind, but the order of the tracks was semi-intentional, and it's not a concept album by any means, but there is definitely an underlying theme throughout all the songs. That's for sure.
That's good. Yeah. And I don't know if you know this, but my favorite song from the album has to be Laika.
Really?
Laika. It has to be Laika. I don't know why you hate that song so much.
I don't hate any of my children. I love them all equally.
Oh, that's nice.
But I don't know. I just if I could redo any of them, that would be the one for me. I think I think I probably should have tracked drums for it or something. I probably would have liked to redo the vocals or whatever. It was one of the earlier things that we recorded, and I think it shows. Not to say I improved all so much over the course of a few months, but I definitely think the confidence and little bit of experience that I gained throughout the album definitely helped certain tracks stand out as we recorded them later.
Okay. I kind of liked Laika mainly for the fact that it felt like, because you love songs from like the Beatles and the
I do love
the Beatles.
Oh, man, I love the Beatles.
I love the Beatles. I'm on the Speakeasy, John.
Speakeasy, John. Yeah.
But I just like how it felt like, like you said, like he was at the beginning, and I kind of liked how, even though I'm not saying that it was bad or anything, but you're like saying like, oh, it's like a journey. Like at first
I guess it is a journey, maybe more of a personal journey.
You wish you did some things better, but then as you go on, it kind of like you get better at something.
You know what? I agree. Maybe it is a journey. Maybe
I think like it's charming in that way that it's like the beginning of the album, and by the end of the album, it's like a whole entire like new person of like. Take a shot. As much as I said like, guys, by the way.
Like. No, that's actually a really good way to think about it. I wish I'm gonna pretend that's how I felt all along.
Yeah. Now that is a good segue into our next question. As I heard you said before, that making an album is very difficult, and all goals can be very challenging. And when trying to accomplish a goal, people sometimes lose motivation to fulfill it. What is a technique you use to keep yourself motivated and to fulfill your goals?
Well, there's a couple. There's a few places it comes from. It is definitely hard to record an album. Not like labor intensive. It's not like I'm picking up big rocks and crushing them or whatever. But it's more of a mental battle. I can be very self-critical. There are a lot of times where like, do that again, sounds stupid. Do that again, sounds stupid. I want to do it again, sounds stupid. And, holding myself to these kind of crazy standards, I think what allowed me to get it out when I did, or get it out at all, was just being like, you know what? This is what it is. This can stand on its own as a thing. I can always come back in a few months in time, and if I really want to make something so crazy better, I can. But, not to be like a perfectionist freak. I think it's good to shoot for a certain level of quality, but you can't get crazy about it, especially when you're recording in a dorm and it's the first thing you've ever really made. But I think what motivates me is that I love it. I love music. I love recording. It is, something I just I would never want to not do it. It never like felt like a battle to force myself, or like, oh, I have to go record today or I have to write
Mm-hmm.
today.
Yeah.
It was a very enjoyable process. I got to work with some of my good buddies. I got to make music that I was really proud of, and yeah, I think the love of the game, and just that desire to, what if something comes of it? I'm not looking to drop out of school or forego my psychology major, but wouldn't it be so great to make a little money from gigs? Maybe get on a little late night television, just like baby's first Tonight Show or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
That should be the name of my show when I get on
Baby's
ABC,
first Tonight Show,
little Alex's night
not
show.
affiliated with the regular Tonight Show.
Exactly, exactly.
But yeah,
Uh,
love of the game is what motivates me.
By the way, when I said take a shot every time, I say I didn't mean that. Take shots of water or soda.
Oh,
The Speakeasy
yeah.
does not
Please,
encourage the consumption of
please,
alcohol.
Radio censors, don't hurt us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Please.
I would never drink alcohol or
No.
encourage people to drink alcohol. So yeah, I think trying to accomplish a goal, especially when you realize that you're just starting and it's going to be really, really long and hard, and you're going to go find some obstacles in your way that's going to make it even more difficult. I think for me, and I don't know if this is a healthy way of doing it, but I just visualize how good it will feel to finally get it done.
That is true. A lot of definitely towards the end of the album, I was like, oh gosh, I can't wait to get it done, just so I can do something else, or like, not to like rush it or push it to the side, but I was like, oh my god, I made this. This is good, but now I know I can make something better, and I have all these ideas, and I have these other musical avenues I really want to explore. I do kind of want to finish this so I can go on with my artistic life or whatever.
Okay, that's a good one, yeah. And all these songs are very different in how they make me feel and how I can see how you were inspired to create each song. So I guess my next question for you is to describe your creative process when creating the songs in your album. What was your
Yeah.
inspiration?
Well, creative process is a tough thing, because these songs kind of not like just appeared out of thin air, but they kind of just happened. What I would do is I would just I wrote everything on my acoustic just for keeping it simple, and I just start messing around with some chords and some phrases, and I'd kind of get a phrase in my head and just like harp on that, or I'd get like a feeling or a vibe, and I'd just kind of keep trying to shoehorn that into whatever chords I had found. Well, not shoehorn, because usually the chords I would try to write for the thought that I had. Like I really wanted, like I love riding my bike, and I was like, I want to write a song about biking. That I went into like for Junior Mongoose, I want to write a song about biking, and I'm gonna write bike chords. Like I don't know if that really makes sense, but in my head I was like, no, it has to be this driving beat. It has to be has to carry itself forward. I want to write a bike song, and eventually the words just kind of came through, and with some songs I'll write about things that I like every good musician, that I feel or that happened to me, or vague abstract topics or anything like that. But I usually tend to write the chords before I write the words, but I go into writing the chords with like, okay, I want a certain vibe, or like for Was and When, it's all about like missing people and all that nonsense that I'll probably elaborate on a little bit later. But I was like, what's something wistful? What's like a wistful chord type of thing? Like, write for the feeling, let the words come later.
Yeah, exactly. And my creative process for creating this show was just kind of reflecting on how our media reflects us as people. I don't know. I was just going through TikTok one day, and I know
The best place to
19-year-old
see
has
people.
TikTok. What?
Ah.
What? But I was just like, wow, this is like awful. Everything is so cynical and fast paced,
I
and
think
it's
people
just
deserve a more positive outlet through college radio. I
exactly.
agree.
We need another Mr. Rogers. We need like people like to just bring us back to like a slow pace, because I feel like a slow pace is the best pace.
I know. I've been trying to get into more long form content recently, and I think if you want some good long form content, you should watch this entire, or listen to this entire interview.
Exactly.
And I think that's a good start. This is your place to start, guys.
Or watch The Sopranos.
No.
Okay. I said my favorite song is
Yes.
Laika because I love Laika the dog, and the story of it that
Yes.
makes me sad every time I listen to it. So, which song is your favorite and why?
Oh, I know. I said I wouldn't pick amongst my children, but now I have
Now
to.
you gotta.
I think my favorite song. It is a tough tie between Junior Mongoose and Ode to Petrichor. I think the harmonies on Ode to Petrichor are so stupid good. Not to prop myself up here. Actually, no, I'm on the show. Yes, I can. I think those harmonies are killer. And it's 2 guitars and a few vocal tracks. And it just sounds so full, and it was produced so well. Thank you, Nick. It rocks. And I think it's a beautiful song. And, and then Junior Mongoose is just, it's so fun. It's like the first thing I wrote going into, I'm going to make an album. And it's also produced really, really incredibly.
It's a classic.
It's a fun song. And they both have that very warm, summery, almost familiar vibe. This is a biking album, at least to me. The more upbeat songs, they are very bike songs. All I used to do was go around Hudson County Park and just, during the early morning or during the sunset, ride my bike around. And, now I'll take these long walks. It's a Hudson County Park album for all my Bayonne heads. It is mainly inspired by Hudson County Park. For those who know.
Yeah. Man, I wish I could. I knew how to ride a bike.
You don't know it? Well, I don't know how to. I don't drive, so there are worse things to not know how to do.
Yes, 1-to-1 ratio. Yeah. Okay. I'll ask you one more question, and then we'll have a little break, play some more songs,
all right.
and we'll come back after that. So, last question before the break is: which instrument in the album do you think really ties the whole thing together? Like, you couldn't imagine the album being as good without this particular instrument in it.
The 12-string acoustic guitar, without a doubt. I used it. Yeah, I think it was Nick's. I think it's Dad's maybe. And I remember I got to his house. I was like, man, I wish we had a 12-string. He goes, yeah, man, I really wish we did too. I'm going to go downstairs and get a snack. I was like, okay. And he brings up a 12-string. I was like, oh, you sly dog. You tricked me.
Nick's a genie, man.
He's a genie. And it just has such fullness and depth to it. And especially for the acoustic tracks, it really helps to like fill everything out. And it gives it this just bright chiminess. I love a good 12-string. I got the idea to use one, or like the desire to use one, from a lot of Tim Buckley stuff. Tim Buckley, father of Jeff Buckley, for those who don't know. Big fan of the 12-string guitar, that guy. And I was listening to a lot of his tracks, like I Never Asked to Be Your Mountain, Buzz and Fly, and all that acoustic goodness. And I heard it pop up on all of them, and it was just so like warm and saturated in the mix, and I was like, immediately I was like, ooh, I need that. I know if I'm gonna do anything acoustic, I need that to like fatten it out and fill it out. And I think it really makes a lot of the songs. So it's a very guitar driven album in general, but the 12-string really does a lot to stand out.
All great songs are very guitar driven, I would say, yeah. I've seen this one famous example of how one missing instrument can be like the make or break of a song. It was a Gorillaz song. You know the band
Feel
Gorillaz,
Good
right?
Inc. with no bass. Is that the...
Exactly.
And
that
it
was
sounds
it.
naked and boneless and wrong and horrible.
It just sounds
It's
horrible.
so
bad. Oh,
uncomfortable.
It's bad.
Oh, it's bad. It's very
bad.
uncomfortable. No, I think, I love all my children equally. I think everything in the album played a part to kind of come together and create that sound. But definitely, had there been no 12 string, it would definitely feel much emptier. That is my final verdict.
I've seen that instrument, by the way. It's a very beautiful instrument.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna have a little break, play some more songs, and we will be right back.
Late nights I pour over my scripture, manuscripts of my life to make my picture. Tones of days gone by, days yet to arrive. I interpret the music I hear pouring from the sky. Me and my twinger, suddenly alone, the turnpike troubadour. I'm drifting home from home, and I'm waiting for some lucky breaking. It's been a long, long, lonely time in the making. Oh. No matter where I go, no matter where I've been, it's all about the people I have met and I have seen. 'Cause with my eyes I'll see them, and with my mouth I'll sing the truth. To make music is to live, to be silent is the news. Falling from grace, you lost your place. You're drifting away with no real path to follow. It's a real hard pill to swallow. You big disgrace, save some face. Look how far you've fallen since you've begun. The stars that burn the brightest, they often die the soonest. And you flew too close to the sun. All I can do is watch from afar when they shine like up to the stars. And then I'll put on my bravest face and tell all of my friends we took a trip to space. Be safe in your journey to the moon so high. I want you to place a flag for me way up in the sky. Keep me in your thoughts, and I'll keep you in mine. And I wish when I was in there I could somehow change your mind. All the laughs we shared and all the tears I cried, blown away by the jets of your space rocket ride. All I can do is watch from afar when they shine like up to the stars. Then I'll put on my bravest face, tell all of my friends you took a trip to space.
And we are back. So, while I was listening to that music, I was thinking about the technical aspects of making an album. I know for
yes.
me, I thought that doing a radio show was just coming up and talking to a mic. How innocent I was. Yeah. No, it's very difficult and extremely technological to do pretty much anything nowadays. So, Jack, my next question to you is, has this whole entire process of making an album opened your eyes to how difficult making an album truly is technologically?
Totally. Or else I wouldn't have gotten Nick to do the whole thing for me. It's so hard. Oh my gosh. And you have to have such like knowledge and prerequisite like experience in these programs to just be able to go and do it. DAWs, or for those who don't know, digital audio workstations, are so hard to figure out at first. I flounder with GarageBand, which is supposed to be the easiest one, and you can hear that in any like rough demos that I did before I recorded. There is a noticeable quality difference between my stuff and Nick's stuff, and this isn't to boost his little Nicholas ego, but he is very, very talented behind that keyboard. I'm pretty sure we used Ableton. I think Ableton Live is what we used.
Oh, okay.
And he's like a wizard, man. He really knows his stuff. And I was there when he mixed the album. I was giving my input. Like a moron almost. Like, too loud, more quiet, bigger sound, make it sound fatter, like just throwing words at him that you don't even know, like, you know what I mean? But he would just kind of nod his head and be like, all right, I can do that, and then he'd do it. So it is very difficult if you don't know what you're doing, like myself, and it takes a lot of time and experience, I think. So it's not something, if you want to make something not maybe not good, but something like sonically pleasing and mixed well, it takes time. You want to go back and remix, because what sounds good one day or sounds bad another day, you'll go back and listen to it and be like, this is not even the same thing. I think your ears are playing tricks on you. But it is definitely a lot of work, and I'd like to get better. I've definitely gained a little bit of skill over the last like year of like making demos and working on this project, but nowhere near enough to where it's like, all right, I'm gonna self-produce, I'm gonna self-record, and do all that stuff. But one day I will get there.
One day, yeah. And you also used CapCut, I believe, to sync the photo with the audio
that was
as well,
so
right?
boof. I used free trial CapCut to put pictures over audio. And yeah, that's how bad I am. It took me like 10 minutes to figure out how to put audio over a picture, like an old person. No offense to old people, but I was like one of you, and I couldn't, it was horrible. But I got it out, and I just today uploaded it onto Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. So hopefully by Friday it'll be out on there.
All right. And this is a good segue into this next question. We're talking about music. If there is one thing you can change about your album, what would it be?
Not a single thing.
You love to hear that.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, never mind.
Actually, no, I'm not kidding. I wouldn't have put it out if I wanted to change anything. You know what I mean? If it was there's something I truly thought was so bad, or like, sorry, so bad, or just not ready enough, I wouldn't have put it out. I pulled a couple tracks after consulting with my grand vizier Nick that we kind of just thought weren't ready yet or deserved better mixes. Like there was a track that I was working on as a joke called Funky John. And at first I was like, oh, this can sound like garbage. I don't care. Like this is a stupid joke track I'm just going to put on there. But then we all started to fall in love with Funky John. And eventually we were like, no, this deserves a full re-recording. Then I have another song that I want to put out as a single called When'd Call It? And it was really good, and I liked it a lot. But it's one of those things where it would benefit so much from a remix, from a re-recording. Like I think certain songs, when you know they're good, when you know they're that good, they deserve more than just like, oh, just put it out. Oh, just put it out. You know, no need to rush. You know, nobody is clamoring like, we need more Jack Nichols music. Nobody, at least not yet. Hope, one day, but nobody's kicking down my door trying to get me to release stuff. So I think, there's no shame in waiting a little bit. But no, I wouldn't have put it out if there were so many things I wanted to change. I'm actually very, very happy with quite a large bit of it, and I think it stands as what it is. I think it's good. I think it's perfect the way it is.
That's just so
sweet. I know.
Yeah. And I can safely say that you probably didn't expect yourself 5 years ago to be making music in college, right? Or like not making music, but like making albums for Spotify.
5 years ago, what was I? 14. I had just started playing the guitar, like very, very first started, and I remember. I remember wanting to start playing instruments when I was like in middle school, like 12, 13. I was like, oh, I can't. I'm too old. I'm washed. If I wasn't playing since 7, I'll never be able to get it. Why even try? I'm so old and washed up at 13. But eventually I came around to it. It was big shout out to George Klarman, actually my bestest buddy, George Klarman. For he got a bass because he saw the movie Scott Pilgrim, and he's like, oh gosh,
such a good
I want to
movie.
be just like that guy in every way. So he starts,
He wants to be like Scott Pilgrim?
in every way. He takes his bass and he starts playing the bass, and he brings it over. We're hanging out at our friend Luke's house, and he's like, hey, do you want to try? I was like, yeah, I'll try. And I start playing. I was just like, ooh, this is my life now. This is my entire life now, actually. I can't believe I didn't do this sooner. So I never expected myself to make music. At first, I kind of just wanted to play to do it. But, naturally, one thing leads to another. Music would have such a profound emotional effect on me. And I would just sit around thinking, like, I want to make someone feel like that. I want my music... less to be famous, although please make me famous, that'd be great. I want people to feel or think anything when they hear it. I don't want to just be, oh, it's a song. Having people have some kind of reaction to my music, to me, is the best feeling. Just a short tangent. The first 2 songs I ever released, and they were pretty bad, like looking back on it, were 2 breakup songs that every stupid person, corny breakup songs, they were not well produced or sung, and they were pretty spiteful too. They were mean, and I put them out, and because I was just like, oh, I'm sad. I'll just do this. This is my coping mechanism. And I showed them to my creative writing teacher, and I remember she wrote me back a 5-page email. Oh, my bad.
Good.
She wrote me back like a 5-page email on how much she liked it and how it made her so emotional, and that it made her cry. And I remember I was floored. I was like, my music made somebody cry. Not from like, turn it off, it's so horrible, but like, because they felt something. And that was kind of the moment where it's like, no, I need to do this, like, for real. Those songs aren't up anymore, and they won't see the light of day probably ever. Because, like, no, like, I look back on them and I was like, oh my God, what a petty jerk I was. Like, oh my God. With all of the rage in my 18-year-old heart, I was like, you are a big jerk, and you sing. They weren't that bad. I don't want to be too overly critical, but it's definitely never something that today I'd probably keep in a diary.
Probably
So.
never make it like something like that again.
No, no. Unless somebody wrongs me, then I'll put out a little diss track on them.
So watch your backs.
Watch your backs.
Yeah.
But yeah, just having people feel something from my music is awesome. And that's kind of that's kind of the driving force behind everything.
Yeah, I think one of the most amazing things that artists can do is make somebody feel something, because, anyone can look at something and not feel anything, but to make something or somebody truly feel something just by something that you created, whether it be anger or happiness or sadness, is probably one of what every artist, I imagine, wants to do.
It's incredible. It really is the most rewarding thing ever. And I hate to sound like, oh, I don't want to be famous at all. I just do it for the love of the game. I would love to make money off of this. I checked my account balance on DistroKid today. I've made $1.30 so far. So we are.
You're getting there.
We're getting there.
$1,
$1 at a time.
Yes, a penny earned is a penny saved. However that saying goes.
But it's all for the, like I said, it's all for the love of the game.
Okay.
For a guy like me.
I'm gonna ask one more question. Then we're gonna have a little bit of a break. There's a little bit of a shorter break,
and then I'll take some. I have some FAQs. I have some questions from
friends and family.
From my friends. Questions for my friends.
Yeah.
Questions from my friends.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. So, as we were just saying, life can be a crazy journey. You never know where you're going, but all you know is where you've been. So, trying to predict the future right now, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Sorry, before I answer that, you just said don't know where you're going, don't know where you've been. That's actually Dazed and Confused by Led Zeppelin. So that's I like that song. And I like that song. Where do I see myself in 5 years? Definitely, hopefully graduated with a master's degree in psychology. I do, regardless of any fame and fortune I may come across. I do want to get my master's degree. I want to, be a learned person. But I would love to be doing music, I guess, full time. Like, I would love not even to be rich. I don't need to be a billionaire, but it would be great to live comfortably off my music, to just put out an album every year or two, every few years, and be able to subside on that. I don't need, I'd like money to buy new gear now and then, but I don't need, a private plane to kill all the plants and fly me to all my shows. not to name names.
Not to throw shade.
Not to throw shade. You think she'll hear this and sue me?
Who's that outside the window?
Outside the door? Oh my gosh. No, I don't know. I don't know if I really see myself doing music realistically, because it's such like a hobby for fun thing now. I've never, up until very, very recently, considered like that route as even a possibility. It was more of a pipe dream where I was like, wow, that'd be a cool thing. That's a cool thing to think about when I'm bored in class, but it'll never come to anything. But, people have reached out and said they like it a lot, and I've seen clear improvement over the last few years, and it's starting to become a thing where it's not there's a non-zero chance. It's not something that couldn't happen. But I still, don't worry, Mom, I still want to get my degree. I still, I'm going to keep the grades up and all that stuff. But 5 years from now, I'll be 24. Hopefully just, living comfortably. I'd love to live in New York. I've been like 15 minutes out of New York my entire life. 10 minutes out of New York for high school. And, I love it there. I'd love to be holed up in some little apartment, or a house would be nice, but realistically an apartment, and just make music and just live in a place I really like, and do things I enjoy. At the very core of it all, just be happy with where I'm at, and have the time and the money to make my music.
That's a really good answer. Really good answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're gonna have a little bit of a break, a quick one, and then we'll get to those Q&A questions you got, Jack.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
A heavy rain will fall. Stay indoors, you'll all be waiting for the sun to shine. And I'll decide to wait outside, sat beneath my tree, beside myself, waiting for droplets above. Petrichor, oh, petrichor, rising from the dirt. Petrichor, oh, petrichor, makes the rain worth the grain. Familiar smell, now saccharine sweet, uproots memories in New York streets, telling me my days of wine and roses are surely through. And what's the point in planting new seeds? They never break through the dirt, held back by tangling weeds, speaking times of was and was. Rain will come and bring a great flood to wash all my troubles away today. And even more, it brings petrichor to remind me of younger days.
And we're back. So Jack, you said you had some Q&A questions
I
from
did. I got
friends?
some questions from my friends sent in, and we're gonna take the first one all the way in from. Sorry, that was the sound of the question coming in. All the way from Rome, in Italy. I have a question from the one and only Alex Jakubowicz, and he asks me, "What do I use as inspiration for lyrics?" And he asked me this because he knows, and I've told him, that Disco Polo, Rollin' with Oleg, is very Alex Jakubowicz inspired. I did, in fact, write it with him in mind. It doesn't have any lyrics, but it is very much a Alex-inspired song. So that can be, when I get famous, that can be his party trivia. He can be like, guess who wrote a song about me, dude? But, I don't know. I guess, like, for what I write about, I'll just think of things that have happened to me, feelings, emotions, life experiences, as any good artist would, It's kind of sometimes simple as, man, I like to ride my bike. Okay, I'll write a song about riding my bike. It doesn't always have to be this crazy deep, thing. But usually I'll just spend, like I was saying before, I'll just spend a lot of time on a track, kind of throwing around little ideas, or I'll get a good phrase and build off of that. But I try not to draw from anything too pop culture related, because then I feel like it takes you out of the music. Not to keep calling around, oh my god, I feel so bad, but I feel like another famous person just very recently got a lot of flack for that. I'm never gonna use a meme in my song, because then it feels too referential to anything. I kind of do want it to stand on its own as anything. I think there are references to certain things in it, but it's different as opposed to anything too crazy contemporary. But what inspired a lot of the lyrics on this album, Hudson County Park in Bayonne and New York. A lot of these songs were written, some of them were written in the park, most of them were written about the park or things that I've felt, heard, seen. And, same thing with New York, just walking around, Manhattan, Brooklyn during the fall and whatnot. Just a lot of good times, a lot of memories and whatnot, things to draw off of. Not most of, all the songs on this album come from my personal feelings and experiences. It's not like I'm writing through the perspective of anyone else. These are very much songs about, or songs of me to you, is what I say.
Mm.
So I hope that satisfies your Polish mind, Alex. I hope that quells your never-ending thirst for knowledge. Going on to the next question. another one trying to get his flowers. Question from George Klarman, the big Klarm. He says, "Who got you into music and the guitar?" Well, you got me into the guitar, George.
Aww.
It was Guitar George. He knows all the chords. It was you, George. It was your music that made me this way. But it was pretty much, once I got a taste of it from him bringing it over, it was just it was an obsession from that point. And I didn't have a bass, so I played on a ukulele for a few weeks, and then I stole a bass from my uncle, and then I got a guitar that following Christmas, and it just kind of was. From there, it just snowballed, and I stopped cutting my hair, and I started listening to weirder music, and it just, and now here we are today. But nobody in my family is really musical. Actually, nobody at all, especially not my parents. No shade to them. They have no interest in music or anything like that. So it was really something of my own that I just had gotten into. My grandmother and my two aunts, they listened to a lot of the music I liked. Now, a lot of classic rock stuff that you inevitably get into as a young man. Everyone has their Beatles phase and whatnot. But they put me on to a lot of good stuff. My aunt, she was the one who told me to listen to The Doors and Jethro Tull. And my grandma told me to listen to Pink Floyd. And, all those formative bands that you kind of as a young music, you have to listen to. You have to get into those guys because they're classic for a reason. And it's really great stuff. And, even if my family aren't the most musical, they have supported me and pushed me on and, always been very, very cool about me, doing music. I sent them all my album. They actually just texted me during the interview, my grandma and my aunt, "We love it. I really think you're coming in your own. You're coming into your own. I think you're doing great." I was like, "Oh, thanks, guys."
The Jersey accent.
The Jersey accent and all. So, yeah, I think I got myself into music, but it's not like I didn't have a lot of help along the way. And finally, I got this question a couple times, but I'm gonna use the one. I got a question from the wonderful, beautiful, ever kind, ever. Did I say beautiful and wonderful? Emma Kolb, my wonderful girlfriend, who has supported me and helped me and listened to so much of my stuff over the last.
I thought you were talking about me. Never mind.
Oh, sorry. Well, you're also beautiful and wonderful, Alex.
Thanks, man.
In your own special way. But no, this question's from my girlfriend who said, who are rather your biggest inspirations and heroes? And first and foremost, the whole reason I play any instruments is Paul McCartney and the Beatles. I remember when I first got a bass, I looked up on Google, very simple, who is a good bass player? Paul McCartney came up, and then from then it just did not stop. My first year or two of high school, I pretty much only listened to the Beatles. I was a Beatlemaniac. I truly was a fanatic. The next instrument I got a Hofner Beatle bass. Had a bad habit of shaking my head like Paul when I played. I was obsessed, Their stuff is still some of my favorites today. I will always love the Beatles forever and ever. But a lot of my songwriting and the way I like to do harmonies was greatly inspired by the Beatles. More recently, I've come across this band Geese, and man, they are so cool. They are so cool. They're a bunch of 20-somethings from Brooklyn, and they just have this really unique sound to them. And seeing people not so much older than you doing stuff like that, nobody sounds like them. Nobody's doing it like them right now. It is both inspiring and crushing, because it's oh my God, these guys are so cool. I want to be like them. Oh my God, they're already so cool so early on. But rather than stew on that, or comparison is the thief of joy, they say, I want to be cool. I want to do that too. So it is definitely a motivator, seeing people around my age doing cool stuff like that. And their lead singer, Cameron Winter, has such a unique vocal style. I've really never heard somebody who sings like him. And I was never a good singer. I think very recently I could maybe start calling myself a pretty good singer, but it was never my strong suit. And, hearing his voice kind of changed the way I thought about my own, to where it's okay, maybe I'm not a horrible singer. Maybe I'm just going about this the wrong way. And I definitely think I've picked up a technique or two from him. And, I think that's helped me a lot. And I'm trying to rapid fire off, because I think we're ending soon. Some big influences on the sound of this album. I don't really know. People have asked me that before, but I can't really place what has inspired this album directly. But I can tell you some. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young with the harmonies on Ode to Petrichor. That is very CSNY, as much as I can hold a candle to their excellence. I know Was and When was inadvertently inspired by Panchico. I didn't go into it like that, but after I was playing back, or sorry, Laika rather, it was a very Panchico-esque song. I remember listening back to the harmonies. I was like, dude, this totally sounds like Panchico, who is another great outsider rock underground band. They are killer, and trying to think, maybe a little Rex Orange County. I was really into him in middle school. I still am a very big fan of his stuff. Songs like Junior Mongoose, I definitely maybe don't sound exactly like his, but definitely have that vibe. And I was definitely going for that Best Friend Sunflower by Rex Orange County. That was definitely for Junior Mongoose a pretty big inspiration. Just something you can bike to, something that feels warm, something that feels good. So those are, I'm all over the map. Inspirations, too many to count. Biggest heroes, probably just Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney and Jeff Buckley. Those are that is my very limited Mount Rushmore of the people who I think are just the coolest, and they're killer. Yeah. I could go on for hours and nerd out. But yeah, those are my little Q&As. Thank you so much, and a huge thank you to Alex for having me on the show and giving me a dedicated hour to pretty much ramble on about myself and whatnot.
Oh no, dude! Always,
it means
you're
the
always
world.
welcome
it
on the
means the world.
Speakeasy. Everybody's welcome here.
And now he lives another day. If he didn't let me on the show, I was gonna poison him in his sleep.
Oh no! And thank you again, Jack, for coming on to the show.
Dude, always and forever. Speakeasy forever. Songs for my friends forever. Jack and Alex, roommate.
Forever.
Exactly. And ever. Thank you.
And I believe that is the end of our show. I hope everybody out there is having a great Wednesday. It's getting a little cold out. Fall's coming, and soon will winter, unfortunately. So keep yourself warm. Don't get sick. Don't be like me and get myself extremely wet.
Guys licking handrails.
Yeah.
getting the flu.
Exactly, getting wet socks by stepping into rain puddles.
That's what got my uncle trench foot.
Oh
You gotta watch out.
Dude, there's like a black spot on my foot now. And thank you everybody for listening again. I hope you all have a great Wednesday, and
thank you all for the love of the album, the kind words, the kind messages. It's all for you guys. Songs from my friends. You're all my friends. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.